Scientific thinking is about understanding, reflecting, and expanding the body of scientific knowledge. It's about inductive and deductive reasoning. The body of knowledge is about theory, evidence, and measurement linking these. So theory are the suggested explanations about real-world phenomena. Evidence are carefully collected observation statements about real-world phenomena. And measurement are proposed methods of collecting the evidence to make statements about the theoretical explanations. And you move back and forth between theory and evidence. On the theoretical level, it's about developing abstract concepts about a natural or social phenomenon and the relationships between these concepts. On the empirical level, it's about testing the theoretical concepts and relationships to see how well they match with our observations of reality, and with the goal of ultimately building better theories. And that's why you move continually back and forth between theory and observation, between theory and evidence. And the typical questions you're asking there on a very high abstract level are: first, how good are our explanations? How good is the theory we have? Second, how good are our observations? How good is the evidence we have? And then third, how good are our measurements to link theory and evidence? And obviously, in an individual research project, you typically go way more granular with research questions, but these are some of the overarching questions to ask in this back and forth between theory and evidence. Wecker suggests 4 basic rules of scientific thinking relating to this: abstraction, connection, theories, and generalization, as you see on the slide. What is abstraction about? Well, it differentiates between observations, concepts, and constructs, a terminology which we'll discuss in a different video. It's about being aware of possible multidimensionality of constructs to have the right level of abstraction. Connection is about discovering patterns. It's about identifying causal factors and the relationships between them. Theory is about explaining patterns. It's about synthesizing and aggregating patterns into systems. And generalization is about identifying common characteristics, persons, objects, systems, situations, and the like, so that you can generalize theories from one context to another and to another. And when you generalize a theory from one context to the other, you might have theoretical arguments why you believe that the context is not that relevant, why you can push the boundaries of the theory, expand the theory scope. But then you'll typically test it empirically. You'll go to measurement, you collect evidence, and thereby you test your theory in the new context and whether it becomes a more general, a higher level theory in the end. This back and forth between theory and evidence, which I just described, is nicely captured in Wallace's Wheel of Science, as he called it in 1971. So you have theories, from that you derive hypotheses, you go to observations, you make empirical generalizations, and then go back to theories. And this circle, this Wheel of Science, as he called it, has 2 key elements: deduction and induction. Deduction is about testing theories. It's about specific expectations of hypotheses which are developed on the basis of general principles. Research there is used to test theories, and that's the right-hand side of the wheel. So you have a theory. From the theory, you derive hypotheses, theoretical hypotheses. You think about measurement to collect data, to collect evidence for testing these hypotheses. And this right-hand side theories, hypothesis to observation, is the deduction part. Deduction is drawing logical consequences from premises. The conclusion is true given that the premises are true. So you go from the general to the specific, you have a priori explanations, and you're theory-driven when your research is deductive. On the other hand of the wheel, we have induction. Induction is about building theory. It's about general principles which are developed from specific observations. Theories are developed from analysis of data. It's from the bottom up, from the observations over the empirical generalizations to theories. So in inductive logic bases on the idea that probability is a relative frequency in the long run, and a theory can be derived from patterns observed in numerous cases. So with induction, you go from the specific to the general, just the other way around as deduction, where we went from general to specific. With induction, you have a posteriori explanations as compared to the a priori explanations with deduction. And with induction, you're not theory-driven, you're data-driven. So these are two different modes of science, induction and deduction. They complement each other, as you nicely see in this wheel of science. It's not that one is better than the other, but they are complements, and in the long run, we need both. In an individual scientific work, you might only do one or the other, but frequently you combine both. And in this back and forth between induction and deduction, between theories and evidence, you apply the scientific method. The scientific method describes a body of techniques and principles for investigating real-world phenomena, with the aim of adding to the body of knowledge which I referred to before. There are multiple different forms of research. For example, there's market research, what companies do for their marketing, for understanding customer demand, customer preferences, and so on. And there's scientific research. Scientific research is different from market research. Scientific research aims to be as objective as possible. That is, you try to rule out our subjectivity, which we have as researchers. And you try to rule out the biases of the research team as much as possible. Typically, it's not fully possible. You can't be fully objective. You always have a background, you have a cultural disposition, you have a theoretical predisposition which you enter into a research project. You can't fully rule out the subjectivity, but still it's the aim to aspire objectivity as much as possible. And Jan Wecker, in his book from 2013 on information systems research, puts it that the scientific method is characterized by these 4 principles to ensure objectivity. It's about replicability, so being able to do the same over and over again. This especially refers to measurement, to the observations. It's about independence, it's about precision, and it's about falsification. A few words about falsification. Falsification is the act of disproving a proposition, a hypothesis, or theory. Theories are abstract representations of real-world phenomena and interrelations among real-world entities. And a theory should be falsifiable in the sense that it makes explanations and predictions about the real world. And when you observe that these explanations and predictions are wrong, then the theory is falsified. In that sense, we cannot prove a theory to be correct. We can only accept it as correct until we know better. Until we know better because it was falsified and is replaced by another, more accurate theory. In that sense, falsification is a key part of the scientific method because you try to falsify existing theories to establish new ones.